And so we have arrived at the end game of Trumpmania. Caleb Howe, the new editor-in-chief at redstate.com, gives us today a kind of combination of how we got here, why we got here, and what's to come. It's kind of like a preemptive eulogy, and there have been several of those over the last week or so, and they're going to continue. So let's get started with it. And he begins by asking today at Red State, why did we give up on replacing Trump on the GOP ticket? Yeah, that's going to be a lamentation that's going to be going on for a long, long time. I mean, this is the dumbest election of our lifetimes. It's true. We all know it. We spent a week discussing which campaign has the worst sex offender. We have Hillary's people instigating violence at Trump rallies, and Trump's people promising revolution if the millionaire TV celebrity doesn't win. In other words, the candidates are only half the problem. Their idiot supporters are the other half. Now, let me tell you that the vast majority of the time I've been speaking with people since Ted Cruz dropped out of the primary 5.5 months ago, and that means talking online, offline, with strangers, friends, family. The vast majority of that time has been spent in an endless, repetitive argument about how I am committing treason by not voting for Trump. Remember, and again, remember, treason is a function of is mentioned in the Constitution, high crimes and misdemeanors, and it's a function of the rule of law, not the rule of one man. Just bear that in mind. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. I've seen it myself. But it's not just people with whom I am acquainted. We see this everywhere. When someone writes something critical about Donald Trump, people don't say, oh, that's not true. He's not like that. He never said that. In other words, they don't defend him. They attack the messenger. They say, why are you talking about this instead of attacking Hillary, you traitor? It's been a non-stop, relentless onslaught of people who accuse those who won't bend the knee to Donald Trump of everything from moral preening to wagging our tails for pats on the head from the left. That last one's really funny. Oh, God. Now, nobody says, oh, Trump's ideas about women are awesome, or I'm a big believer in pussy grabbing. In other words, again, they don't defend him because they can't. They only attack the messenger. It's not unlike the left back during the Monica Lewinsky affair, excuse me. Remember, they didn't defend what Bill Clinton did. They just attacked the messenger. It's a very left-wing tactic. No, they don't defend Trump. They attack the messenger. They say things like, you're just like the media. Leave Trump alone. As if he's supposed to be above reproach and accountability. And above all, without fail, without surcease, but Hillary! To call it tiresome would be a colossal understatement. And even if you're likewise writing about Hillary's deceit, malfeasance, bribery, corruption, and how she is not fit for office, which a lot of us have been doing for the entire quarter century she's been on the national stage, but you are not voting for her. I'd rather slam my nuts in a drawer than vote for Hillary Clinton. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you don't write enough, which is like 100% of the time, or have a good ratio, which would be 100% of the time, or your heart just isn't in it. No, it's not that our hearts aren't in it. It's that we've been doing it for 25 years. It should be common knowledge. Whereas there is a definite need to educate the right and convince the right, grab the right around by its lapels around the throat and say, wake up about Trump! Again, the enemy outside the gates versus the enemy within. The enemy within is by definition more dangerous than the enemy outside the gates that we can see and identify. Or this is my favorite. You're really just helping her get elected, but also don't matter because you've thrown your relevance in the trash and aren't credible anymore, and you're done as a conservative. God, the psychological projection in that accusation is palpable. And psychological projection is also a tactic, at least a psychological trait, of the left. Yeah, I never said their arguments were logical. Which is why you can tell they don't have any good arguments. I could name names, Douglas V. Gibbs, but you know who these petty, bitter clingers are, so I don't have to. On the question of who should lose, let's be perfectly clear. I want Hillary Clinton to lose this election. I don't want her to be president. I want Trump to lose the election. I don't want him to be the president. But it doesn't matter, though. The two of them are running, and only one will lose, and that one will be Donald Trump. Stick a fork in him, he's done. Arguably, deliberately. Now, since advocating for Trump is a betrayal of the conservative movement and defending him requires debasing oneself, it is absurd to expect us to do that. Claiming Trump is fit for office requires resorting to flat-out lies. We don't do that. Conservatives are supposed to stand for integrity and honesty and credibility. We're not supposed to be idolaters, you see. We criticize politicians when they are wrong, whoever they are, or evil. And both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are 100% wrong and 100% evil. Now, that's not to say that there aren't those who are planning to vote for him and say so. Well, no, actually, that doesn't work. No. There aren't those who are planning to vote for him and say so that have maintained their integrity. No. If you're supporting Donald Trump, if you're going to vote for Donald Trump, you have forfeited your credibility and you have forfeited your integrity. And you have thrown overboard everything you ever claimed to stand for, including stopping Hillary. I don't care. Trumplicans, cuckservatives, I don't care. You're voting for Trump, you are dead to us. You have joined the other side. Period. I'm not going to bother to disprove the whole not supporting Trump as a vote for Hillary crap because, God, have you seen how many videos there are in the conservative Ronin playlist. Done it many times. Got the t-shirt. And I'm not going to bother explaining that we, like the fine folks at Red State and Conservative Review and National Review, have held Hillary to account, as we do all politicians, not just this year, but every year going back to 1991. If you don't know that, then you have a selective attention and you're a bandwagon jumper, really, and aren't honest anyway, so there's no point, which describes a great many Tea Partiers, ex-Tea Partiers, I might add, who were never conservative in the first place, but just wanted revenge. They were tribalists. They weren't conservatives. And now they've proven it. And I'm certainly not going to bother explaining to you the 200,000 ways that your defense of Donald Trump is illogical, undermines your entire worldview, and will ruin your credibility in the next election cycle and for the rest of your life. On all the issues where you defended his anti-conservative points of view, or how you can never again honestly call yourself a values voter if you have spent this cycle apologizing for and promoting Donald J. Trump. All right, Douglas V. Gibbs. Still only said one. Because we've already been over and over and over that here on the Hard Starboard radio channel, and at Red State and at National Review. And if you haven't bothered to read or watch our hundreds of excellent, accurate, reasonable, correct articles and videos on the subject, then you're just a lazy critic, and I'm not going to waste my time with you until tomorrow when I do it again, because the message needs to get out there. What I am going to tell you is two things. Donald Trump doesn't care about winning this election, and he never did. He's taking a dive to get Hillary Clinton elected. Whether he's aware of it or not, that has been his sole role in this campaign. Hillary Clinton could not become president any other way. This is the greatest political caper. I thought the Democrat financial logic bomb that got Barack Obama elected in 2008 was the greatest political caper ever. This exceeds that. This exceeds that. Why? Because the Democrats already had a foil, in a sense, in George W. Bush, who, because he wouldn't defend himself or his policies, let himself, his image, his approval numbers, and those of his party along with him by association, just down the toilet to where someone like Barack Obama could get elected. In this case, La Clinton Nostra infiltrated the GOP, infiltrated the conservative movement, took it over with Donald Trump, and I mean, it's the ultimate in political sabotage, and the brilliance of it is that so many of you Trumplicans refuse to realize and acknowledge it. How badly you've been played by the very people that you're claiming to try to stop. Oh, that's two things, I guess. The third thing is Donald Trump isn't going to win this election, so he should quit. He won't, but he should. Trump is not working to win in November. He's working to save his reputation. The signs are all there, and they are overt. I mean, at one time, I'm sure that in his flushed with taking over the Republican Party, in his mind, his stratospheric cosmic narcissism, I'm sure he thought, of course I'm going to win. I'm invincible. I'm unstoppable. Well, he's finding out differently, like all of us always knew. He's already stated that this whole year will have been a colossal waste of time for him if he doesn't win, and he does not expect to, despite what he says. Now he's saying the things that all losing candidates who know they're going to lose are saying. Well, I think we can still win. He's saying that so that though whatever portion of his crumbling base is still with him won't desert him as well, although he's pretty much down to his personality cult anyway. You know, the people who would stick with him even if he started shooting them in the head. So instead of trying, he's working on shoring up how he will be perceived when he loses. How, you may ask? He's trying to foster the impression that he is way ahead in the polls and that the pollsters are being dishonest. He does this by pointing to online polls, drudge polls, and the like, and esoteric measures like the size of his rallies compared to those of Hillary. The better to say later that he was screwed. That's right, he's saying he's being screwed. He always says that. Losing, it can never be because he lost. No, his brand is he's a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Donald Trump doesn't lose. So if Donald Trump loses, well, it's not because Trump lost. It's because he got screwed. It's because they, whoever they are, rigged it against him. And you'd think that would wear out after a while as a rallying cry. Who knows? Maybe someday it will, but that someday is not today, obviously. All this rigged election talk is so he won't have to take the blame when he's humiliated. I used to speculate, that Trump might just drop out. He might just quit because he doesn't want to face the humiliation. Of course, a lot of us said the same thing about the primaries, and it didn't happen there. And that reinforces the fact that he's not going to quit. Because, people were saying that about, people are saying that about me in the primaries, and I beat them. So the same thing it's going to work out the same way here. Well, no, not really. Yeah, he knows it, so he's trying to cover his, to employ an Eric Metaxas-ism, he's trying to cover himself. So it's not even good rigged talk either. It's a mix between voter fraud, which there's no evidence could swing this election. I mean, it would require 10 million votes to be manufactured. No. Voter fraud exists. Voter fraud is a serious and growing problem. But there's no way that you could manufacture 10 million votes. And Hillary Clinton, according to current projections at electionprojection.com, Hillary Clinton is projected to win the popular vote by just under 10 million votes. That's not happening. That could be rigged or you can't manufacture that many votes. Sorry. No. And the disgusting behavior of the DNC and the media, which is not anything new to Republicans, not that he would know, and is not the same as a rigged election in any case. Again, if you're going to run as a Republican, you've got to be aware. It's almost impossible not to be aware that the media is against the Republicans and for the Democrats. You've got to plan for that. You've got to take that into account. You've got to find ways around it, and it is possible. Starting with nominating the antithesis of somebody like Donald Trump. Democrats were wrong when they said Bush stole the election. Al Gore was trying to steal it from him. And Trump is wrong to say that Hillary Clinton is stealing this election, because she doesn't have to. I mean, the only sense in which you could say that Hillary Clinton is stealing this election is by having gotten Donald Trump nominated by the Republican Party as her opponent. It really is that simple. And not for nothing, but they don't even, like I say, they don't have to rig this election. People despise Trump. This illusion that he has some huge silent majority of Americans behind him is just that, an illusion and a delusion. And the lack of enthusiasm for Hillary Clinton is no measure at all. People are voting for her just to stop Trump. And those people aren't going to go to a rally. Think of the reluctant, the conservatives, like Douglas V. Gibbs, that you know, the ones who say they just want to stop Hillary but don't like him. Are they going to his rallies? No. At least one would like to think, because if that were the case, then they're more Trumplicans than conservatives. As for the quitting part, this came to a head over the weekend of the second debate when the tape where Trump bragged about sexually assaulting women was leaked. The Pussygate tape, in other words. And let's be clear, nobody cared that he was being vulgar, even though so-called values voters have complained for years about the vulgarity of the left. It wasn't vulgarity and it wasn't locker room talk. It's the fact that he bragged about groping not strange women, but strangers, women who were strangers to him, and he was a stranger to them, and getting away with it because he's rich and powerful. He's already drunk with power, and you want to give him the presidency? Have you lost your minds? That weekend, dozens of Republicans temporarily rescinded their endorsements. There was a concerted, apparently last-ditch effort to usher this charlatan out the door at last, to replace him at the top of the ticket. But as the stupid party always does, it folded like cowards, and his committed supporters, most of whom claim they don't like him so much as they hate Hillary, stood by him the whole time with their fake locker room talk lie, including Douglas V. Gibbs, the so-called constitutional authority. But they shouldn't have backed down. Trump should have been ousted, not given a choice. Like the Terminator line from the Terminator, "Get out!" Several Republicans, including Senator Mike Lee, the Tea Party Senate darling who didn't sell out, Ted Cruz, made the very excellent point that if defeating Hillary is really the most vital concern, then we should make the best effort to do that. And Trump is not and never was our best effort. There was no effort at all, in fact. I can't say it better than National Review's John O'Sullivan in, I stress, an article advocating voting for Donald Trump. Quote, "If Trump were to even make an even colder calculating examination of his personal self-interest, however, he would probably decide to announce that he was withdrawing from the campaign in favor of Mike Pence, the GOP, and the country because the media had made a fair campaign involving him impossible." Of course, that's not Trump. He's a counterpuncher, remember? He was sacrificing himself to save the nation from Hillary, Bill, and the corrupt Clinton machine. He might throw in some mild self-criticism to ensure that Pence praised his nobility in return, but that would happen anyway. His main consideration would be that a decision to withdraw made in the face of likely defeat would protect him from the dramatic erosion of his own brand. His problem is that his political brand and his commercial brand are seriously at odds. Only in an unlikely big victory could reconcile them at this point. His political brand is downscale, his commercial brand is aspiring upscale. When he loses badly amid sleaze and scandal, who will want to stay in the Trump Tower, wear clothing with the Trump insignia, or eat in restaurants recommended by him and that have his name feces plastered all over them? But a dramatic announcement to withdraw, especially if made after a triumphant debate, would have the flavor of gallantry and patriotism. Most negative attention would then be directed not at Pence, but at Mrs. Clinton, whose sins would not have been washed away by a noble self-sacrifice. Try to imagine Hillary in a self-sacrificial role. You can't do it. Nor probably Trump either. And that is the whole point. Trump is Hillary's facilitator. As some of us have been saying since June of 2015, the argument for voting for Trump in that article presumes a hostility toward Trump that is undermined by all of my above-mentioned bad actors, including the cowardly GOP. Now, I would vote for Mike Pence. I'd have to hold my nose with alligator clamps over his weakness and hideously poor judgment in signing on to ride shotgun with Trump in the first place. But I could vote for Cuck Pence. I'm currently planning to vote for Evan McMullin, who I think would bring the argument of liberty back into the center of political debate, but I would switch to vote for Cuck Pence if Trump were out. Yeah, you heard me say it. Jennifer. All Trump has to do is step down, the one thing he will never do. It would be in his own interest. If he's such a great businessman, why would he take down his commercial brand with him? Which is what that's what he's doing. In my view, the problem here is that some conservatives still think they can salvage something with him. Doug. They still have this idea it will save the Supreme Court, even though he put his partial birth abortion zealot sister on the Supreme Court, or his gay CEO of PayPal pal. Save the military, or the America they know. The America they know was dead in the grave 4 years ago. They, in other words, want a silver lining and have deluded themselves completely into believing that there still is one to be had by voting for Trump. But the problem here is that there isn't one. There's no silver lining. Those desires and goals died on May 3rd when Donald Trump clinched the primary. There's nothing to be done except something radical, and some of what you want to save doesn't even need saving. It needs resurrecting is what it needs. If you can't give up, at least make your last effort valiant and noble. Don't debase yourself with Trump. Go out fighting to replace him at the top of the ticket. Go out trying to face Hillary with someone worth supporting. Be a real conservative American Republican. Ascend from the sewer where Trump lives and stand in the daylight again. Die with your boots on. On your feet, not on your knees. Now, Trump could go out like a hero. He could stop dividing America. He could stop destroying the conservative movement, even though that's his actual mission. He could stop undermining our electoral process even more than the Democrats already have. I mean, unless a Hillary victory is really what he wanted all along, that couldn't be true. Could it?